Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's bird video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 14 days for today's bird video. Day 10 will take us to the 19th of February, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. May run around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 for March at the end of the video. And I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that first, the video releases are 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've also released GavsWeatherVids Friday. Check out those two vids if you'd like to do that. Please like, share, and subscribe on all today's videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We need to put on around 50 subscribers to get ourselves to 18k. We are so close to 8k. You know, anybody whatsoever, your neighbour, your doctor, your vicar, your whoever, your optometrist, even as I did yesterday. whoever you think of, tell them to subscribe to GavsWeatherVids to get us to 18k. That'll be absolutely epic if you could all do that. Thank you so much, everybody. Right, okay, let's crack on then with 10 to 14 day. We're going to begin with stratospheric development. So, yes, the blue colours, these are cold temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the North Pole. Warming is beginning to take place in the stratosphere over Russia. And as we go through the next few days, you're going to find that warming intensifying and pushing into the Arctic, displacing a polar vortex. These blue colours at their roots, they get pushed out of the pole again. I've seen several displacement events through this winter so far. So displacement event of the polar vortex at its roots at 10 HPA into North America, the North Atlantic and northern parts of Europe as well. And then into the extended range, a secondary warming takes place around the 22nd of February. That was like a major warming of the stratosphere, reaching those red colours there over Russia, and that also penetrating into the pole, looking like it's about to split the vortex there by the 25th of February, which is as far as we get to with this with the GFS runs today. It looks like the PV is about to split there, so it's being stretched to its absolute limits. So GFS ensembles are forecasting that the zone wind is going to reverse as well. So the zero line just here, visual weather is cool, of course, is all important. GFS ensembles have these green lines here, and most of them, 74% actually, on the 6Z ensemble suite are going for a reversal of zone winds at 10 HPA. That is what we need to see to be able to say that we are having or have had a major sudden stratospheric warming event. A reversal of zone wind is 10 HPA, 60 degrees north is the definition of a major SSW occurring. Not only the GFS and GFS ensembles going for this, also the ECM. This is from University of Berlin. So at 168 hours, this is from last night's 12Z ECM run, by the way. At 168 hours, which was the 15th of February, we see that the zone of wind here at 60 degrees north is predicted to be 8.4 ms. But as we go through 240 hours, which was the 18th of February last night, look at that, reversal of zone of wind going down to minus 1.6 ms. So 10 days, or 9 days actually, time, we should, if the forecast is correct, see a reversal of zone of wind and be able to say that we have had, or we're having, a major sudden stratospheric warming event. And then, remember, we get the secondary warming mode. So that's from the first one that's beginning to take place now over Russia. We get that secondary warming around the 21st, 22nd of February. That might be the one that actually splits the vortex. So all very interesting. And, of course, we will keep you updated. Now, these are or what I'm going to talk about. This is the Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast chart. So the black line shows where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. Red lines at the end where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So we are negative, quite strongly negative with the AO at the moment, but by the middle of February we're going even more negative, going down to -4 there if the GFS ensembles are correct. That tells us that there is going to be a large and appreciable amount of northern blocking within the high latitudes. And of course, it was only 2 or 3 days ago we was expecting that this would result in some very cold weather, but it's all gone down the tubes due probably, partly anyway, to this. This is the NEO observed and forecast. So again, black line shows where we've been with the North Atlantic Oscillation. Red lines at the end with GFS ensembles are forecasting NEO to go, and we are very weak negative to neutral with the NEO, and predicted by the GFS ensembles to stay around neutral to weakly negative through the next couple of weeks. So although the Arctic is primed to be pushing cold air out of the pole into the mid-Atlantic, I assume, you know, some places must be getting going to get some very, very cold weather in the next couple of weeks due to the extent of the blocking that is going to be within the high latitudes there. It's always a weather drives index, so the fact that the AO is so negative and can go even more negative is down to large amounts of high latitude and northern blocking. But despite that, the Atlantic probably isn't letting that cold air down into northern and western Europe. It is going to get into northern Europe, so it's in already across Scandinavia, Nordic regions. It's going to be staying there over the next week, but the Atlantic just not quite playing ball to allow that cold air to get down into western parts of Europe. Very, 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 very frustrating this for cold and cold and snow lovers and snowmantics and whatnot, to see the AO so extremely negative as it's going to be there by the middle of February, if that forecast is correct, but for us not to get any sort of appreciable levels of cold weather out of it. It just goes to show you that even you have all the indexes looking right, you know, I know a lot of you follow the MJO, I don't follow the MJO myself, I don't have that in the videos, I do keep an eye on what it's doing though, and that looks really good, you know, the AO looks really good, everything on paper, from a teleconnection point of view, is looking really, really good to deliver a sustained spell of extremely cold or very cold and potentially snowy weather, but you can have everything lined up just perfectly on paper, but you still got to get all of the pieces of the puzzle to fall just right for our particular part of the world. It's much easier across other parts of the Northern Hemisphere, like North America, Asia, even Northern Europe. It's much easier to get that cold air down, but for us where we are next to the Atlantic Ocean, everything has to come together just perfectly, and it may well still do so, although you know, we've had a letdown over the past week or so in terms of the expected cold weather. Although it's all gone down the tubes, except if you're in the far north of Scotland, of course. Although it's all gone down the tubes, with the AO looking so extremely negative there over the next couple of weeks, with such a strong blocking signal, don't by any means be ruling out a chance that we won't get some very cold weather coming up over the next week or two. So it is a case of wait and see what happens. Maybe the SSW, maybe this warming here will be the final piece of the puzzle to deliver some very cold weather by the end of February, and maybe even into March. Right, centering temperature actually moved a little bit yesterday. So we had quite a cold day yesterday, and we went down to 7.8 for VCT, which is still 4 degrees above average, but it is quite a lot lower than it was a couple of days ago when it was over 9 degrees. That's provisional to the 8th of February. So still running 4 degrees above average the first week of the month. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. Norwich today, red line, is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Norwich. We're starting off above average at the moment. We are going to have a little bit of a cooler interlude coming up through the beginning of next week. Then the upper air temperatures take off again through the middle of next week as more low pressure rolls in from off the Atlantic. And then there we get to around the 17th, 18th of February, and we have all of this scatter here. So we've got the mild ensemble members up there. We've got the cold ensemble members down there. You'll notice the thick green line, which is the GFS 6 operation run, actually does a bit of a plunge, starts off, well, not starts off, but it's mild around the 17th of February, but by around the 20th, it's gone really quite cold, gone into the freezer. It isn't a cold outlier, because there are actually even colder ensemble members, but it is clearly at the coldest end the temperature prediction there. But then again, we've got all of these mild ensemble members up here. So basically, it's a case of take your pick, I think, by the time we get to around the 18th or 19th of February. Precipitation-wise, well, the ongoing wet winter continues. Yesterday, we had some hints of some higher pressure and dry conditions, not as much of that within the model output today, just plenty of precipitation spikes coming through. Let's have a look at Snow Row for Norwich, see how that's doing. So nothing happening over the next week to 10 days anyway, from a snow perspective, but we do get some snow spikes appearing here when we get through toward the final week of February. Of course, that is a very long way off and is therefore in the unreliable time frame. Temperature anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of February, above average for England and Wales, a little bit below average northern parts of Scotland. Notice Scandinavia and Nordic regions, again, looking very cold in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of February, average or wetter than average, especially, perhaps a little bit interestingly so, and usually so, for more southern and eastern regions. The latest wind from that from earthnorthschool.net shows that low pressure remains anchored to the west-southwest of Ireland today, and we're still bringing cold easterly winds across Scotland, so snow continues in the northern half of the country, but in the south we turn the wind into southwesterlies. It's feeling very balmy out there this afternoon, almost spring-like across much of the south and the southeast. Okay, let's start going through chart data. Remember, it's our latest UK Euro run. It's looking for big light on Monday. Low pressure remains in control, winds in from the west. That'll be a chilly wind with like a polar maritime airstream coming in from the North Atlantic. So it might turn wintry in the north through the beginning of next week. Then we get a little bit of a break in the areas of low pressure, but not for long. By Wednesday to Thursday, the next lows coming in off the Atlantic that bring a push of milder southwesters and more heavy rain in with it. And then to the end of the UK Met Euro run, which gets us to next Friday, 16th of February. Low pressure is just in control with further wet weather to come then. This is how Icon is looking. Once more, low pressure to our west-northwest, bringing in the wind from off the Atlantic on Monday into the rest of next week. So more low pressure heading in through the middle part of the week. That brings further heavy rain in with us. That one clears away. It starts to turn a little bit cooler with winds going into the northwest and possibly some sort of a ridge trying to build there towards the end of next week. That might bring a little bit of frost in with it. That gets us to midday next Friday. The KMA looking like that. So again, we see that low pressure is in control, in the ascendancy through to the early part of next week. A little bit of a break, perhaps around Tuesday, Wednesday, then more low pressure piling in later next week. Then high pressure start trying to ridge up from the south, so that's trying to turn things drier. And trying to raise the heights to the north a little bit. So perhaps a little bit of frost and fog appearing there, and we're not all that far away from starting to pull in some very cold air from the northeast, but we do need to get rid of this ridge across France, Spain and Portugal, which as ever is one of the things that is causing us to have a failed cold winter. I think this winter did want to be cold. We have seen the cold getting so close to us on numerous occasions, and I would say this winter is like a failed cold winter, really. So we do get those occasionally. 2005, 2006 is a good example of the failed cold winter, and that eventually did get into quite an extensive of cold weather through the second half of February and the first half of March. But I will put this, up with 2005-06 and a couple of other examples I can't think of off the top of my head. But I'll put this up with 05-06 as a failed cold winter for us. Really, we have been very, very close this year to having cold winter. It just hasn't been quite right. Okay, so moving on. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent with that. GFS midnight run looks like this. Low pressure again dominating the weather through the early part of next week. A little bit of a break perhaps around Tuesday to Wednesday, but then the next low piling in from the Atlantic. That brings further heavy rain in with it and mild southwesterly winds too. And then low pressure remains in control through to day 10 and even beyond it, to be honest. A deep area of low pressure whipping itself, but there around the 21st, 22nd of February the onslaught goes on. All of those ideas of high pressure from yesterday's model output well and truly gone with the GFS midnight overnight run. Just the battering and the deluge continues there up to the 25th of February. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We're going to be growing gills if this goes on much longer. This is how the GFS V2 is looking. Again, low pressure is in control in the ascendancy through most of next week. Another low piling in from the Atlantic around Wednesday, Thursday. That will bring heavy rain in with it. Then we start getting a bit of a break, though, on the GFS V2. Around day 10, we start to raise the heights and build them northwards. So it starts to go drier and colder by day 10. We saw it on the ensemble, on the GFS ensemble graph, how that green line plunged away. And this is how it happens. It actually sets up a Scandinavian high and starts to pull in some very cold air from the east. So the GFS is back on the back on the cold hunt again. Everybody back on the back on the bandwagon. Here we go again. That's Tuesday the 20th of February. Winds in from the east. They'll be bringing snow showers in with them and a proper old easterly then by the 21st of February. My 10 cells iceberg pushing through England and Wales, so a little bit of a beastly easterly with that. And the easterly wind carries on then towards the end of the GFS V2 run. That's 23rd of February, still looking very cold then. So we end up with the GFS V2. So still cold winds remain from the east-north-east. It looks so simple, doesn't it? How quickly it happens. It looks so simple. But as we've seen over the past few days, unfortunately, for coldies and snow lovers, it's not as simple as as those charts make it look. But who knows? Maybe the GFS will be right on this one. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. 50 subscribers going to get us to 18k. If you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe, it would be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. We're trying to get to 18k before the end of the winter. Now wouldn't it be epic if we could do that? We might need another cold snap though. Weather gods, if you're listening, give us another cold snap. Get us to 18k. Thank you so much. Right, okay, GM. Again, low pressure remains in control for Monday and then on into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, low pressure just keeps on coming, really. West weather probably for England and Wales, always a little bit drier and colder, I think, with GM up across Scotland, but relatively mild and wet further southwards. And then towards the end of the GEM run, well, we just keep it unsettled. Heights are trying to rise to our north, but up to day 10, 19th of February, and keep the low pressures coming from off the Atlantic. What are we going to do to slow down the Atlantic? And maybe ECM looks like that. So all much of a muchness through the early part of next week. Low pressure in control and another low pushing in from Wednesday through to Thursday. That brings lots more heavy rain in with it. So that one clears out of the way through the end of next week. Friday, winds begin to turn into the north, though, and we start to turn drier and colder into the weekend of the 17th and the 18th of February. Remember, we were supposed to have a cold weekend this weekend, which away from Scotland gone down the tubes, but he said does turn things cold for next weekend. Under bridge of high pressure, there won't be any snow with that, but certainly a return of overnight frost. And the upper air temperatures are looking pretty cold there by day 10. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from meteo.com. So snow retreating to the far north of Scotland over the next 24 hours or so, but still with showers and longer spells of rain across large parts of the country. Early next week, as we bring in that polar maritime airflow, shall begin to wintering up in the north. We've got some quite appreciable levels of snow actually across Scotland again. Then low pressure heading in from a more southerly point of the Atlantic, bringing milder air and heavy rain back in with it through the middle part of next week. So the deluge goes on and on and on and on. End of next week, further heavy rain, particularly focusing on England and Wales. Then we start to build back ridge across the country, turns mostly dry and cold. Now some snow showers in the far north of Scotland, but otherwise it's a dry and cold spell for the weekend, the 17th, 18th of February. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office gets us to the 19th of February. 21 members of the ECM Ensemble, including control and the operation run with low pressure clearing away to the east, a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, and winds going into a colder north or northeasterly. And then we've got 17 with a ridge over the country, but extending to the north to some degree, probably place us on the periphery of any colder air, but it could be some frost and fog. And then we've got 13 with high pressure again blocking in the North Atlantic around Greenland and Iceland, a wind coming in from the northeast. So on the face of it, by day 10, most of the ensembles there are supporting colder weather. Will it actually verify though this time? And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. And it gets us 24th of February. 19 members of the ECM ensembles with blocking around Greenland and towards the Canadian side, Greenland low pressure in the Atlantic and to our east. So we're probably going to be quite cold with that, although Mr. Low pressure to the southwest could bring some milder air in with it. Not clearly cut cold, but probably that would be cold. A wintry. We've got 12 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure right over top of the country. Again, blocking more towards the Canadian side of Greenland. So with that, we're very close to bringing cold air into that trough of low pressure. We have got 8 just here with high pressure, more focus on Greenland, low pressure to our east. That should be definitively cold with winds in from the north. We have got 7 with high pressure again around Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure is to our south and east, and we should be bringing cold east-northeast winds with that. And then we've got 5 with high pressure centred over Scandinavia, but also reaching to Greenland and Iceland, and that should get the wind into a cold easterly if it comes off beast from the east unleashed, perhaps with those 5. Right, CFS V2 finally, hold on, everybody, CFS V2 finally. This is the latest 700 millibar height anomaly for March. Again, this looks like it should be cold. Blocking area of high pressure above average heights around Greenland and Iceland. Also extends towards Svalbard as well. Low pressure is to our south. And you would look at that and think we will be bringing in the wind from an east or a northeasterly direction. So that looks like it should be a cold March. I can't see why it wouldn't be. The temperature anomaly is about average, but I'd expect it to be colder than that. And precipitation, well, not much of a signal, but it's a little bit wetter than average just to our south. We'll see. We'll see. I think we've got enough to worry about for the rest of February before getting too concerned with March. But if we do pull off this big SSW, through the 3rd week of February and reverse the zone, and particularly if we was to split the vortex in the stratosphere, then it could be game on for, you know, really quite potentially cold and wintry March. But how many people actually want a cold and wintry March? Well, whether you want it or not, that might be what we're going to get. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, we're done. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to share friends about GavsWeatherVids and why not drop a comment and, let us know what you think about this and all our vids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing about 50 subscribers. Gets us to 18k. So if you could give us up, if you're enjoying the content, you're enjoying what you see on the channel at the moment, then please subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. We're going to be back at 10:30 with the pub run, so we'll see how things are looking then. And just to say, coming up over the weekend, we're going to have 6 AM UK weather forecast. There'll be the EC46 dayer tomorrow, as well as the weather for the weekend, and a 10 to 14 day too, for epic day for Saturday. And then on Sunday 6 AM forecast, we've got the next spring update. The number of that is gone out by I think it might be update number 6, not sure. And we'll be live. My memory is getting really bad, I have to say. And then at 6 o'clock we're going to be live, so we'll be doing our Sunday evening live stream, looking at the 12s there, doing a 10 to 14 day, probably do Ensembles watch, and we'll include some long range. How does all of that sound? I'll see you then, maybe. But for this video, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and bye for now.